In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the shifter tube caps, which are two little aluminum caps that hold down the tube that is connected to the shifter lever. And a lot of times they break as people shift in and out of park. They tend to break sometimes. They're fragile, so you need to replace them. Take your keys, put them in the ignition, turn it to the on position, and then use a pick, go through this hole here. And you're going to have to find the little pin that locks in the ignition cylinder. There we go. You want to push on this pin right here. That's what you're aiming for. And as you push, you want to wiggle this, slide it out, and well, eventually it should pop free. I want to remove these trim pieces that sit around the steering column. Unthread the steering wheel adjuster lever. Next, there are 3 Phillips head screws that you have to remove. There's one on the left side, and then there will be 2 on the right side from underneath. Now you can take this lower half and remove it. There we go. Pull out on this and drop the steering wheel down. Now we're going to have to take off this trim piece right here. So grab it, pull out on it, slide it up and out of the way. Might have to shift this. There we go. And now we can remove this upper steering column trim piece. Next, I need to take down this knee kick panel here, 7mm socket, remove all the screws. There will be one hiding behind this, so open up that panel, one right over here, and then there's going to be one right over here. There's another one right here to the right of the steering wheel. Now I need to take out these 2 8mm screws over here. Pull out on this. So I was hoping that I'd have enough movement in the hood or the brake release cable, but I don't. So I'm going to take a little 7mm and remove this. Okay, this can stay right here out of the way. Now we have to drop the steering column. We'll have to take this support bar out of here first. There are 4 13mm nuts. You can see one right there, another one right there, and then 2 at the back. If you just follow these bars, it's going to be hard to see on camera, but just follow them, and where they bolt on, 2 more 13mm nuts, one on each bar. I'm going to start with the harder to reach ones, the ones at the back. That way, once I get the front ones out, I can support this and not have it fall on me while trying to get these rear ones. All right. So now that this is off, we can unbolt the steering column itself. Again, same tool, same location of the bolts or nuts. Just one more time. Okay, let this drop down. Perfect. Just like this. Make sure it's not tugging on any wires. Now we can work at the top. Now the T30 Torx, I'm going to remove the 4 bolts that hold the shifter tube in place. There's one, another one right here. They're not very tight, so won't require a lot of force. 2 more at the back here. With those out, you can remove the 2 caps that hold down the bushings. let's put the caps on. Make sure that everything lines up. And let's bolt them back down. Okay, now the way these were tightened, they were very, well, not so tight. So what I'm going to do, take my 1/4" ratchet, and once they bottom out, which is here, I'm just going to go a tiny bit extra, not even 1/8 of a turn, and that's exactly where I'm going to leave it. If you over tighten this, it'll squish the bushing down and it'll just wear prematurely. So you have to do the job again sooner than you expected. I'm just going to double check all of them to make sure that they're not over tightened and that they're all at the same tightness. It's important. Okay, so now let's bolt this back up and we'll give it a test. Already, this feels much better. Doesn't have a lot of play anymore. It used to kind of flop around wherever it wanted. Let's resecure this. Let's resecure this boot here. Doesn't really want to stay. That's fine. Okay, so let's bring this steering column up. I'm going to put in the 2 nuts at the front, and then I can reach in without this falling on my head and put in the 2 at the rear. And then we'll snug them all up, make sure they're all nice and tight. Again, this is pretty difficult to see even in person. I'm mostly going by feel. Keep that in mind. All right, let's tighten them up. The order doesn't matter. Just make sure they're all even. Just so you know, I turn my air gun all the way down so it doesn't have a lot of force. Now let's put this reinforcement piece in. Make sure you don't pinch any wires because there are a lot of them here and the potential is fairly high. So I'm gonna slide it in at the front. This one lined up, so I'm gonna put a nut on just to secure it and hold it in place. Okay, all 4 nuts are on. Let's snug them up. Okay, that's done. All right, let's get this knee panel back in. Line everything up. Don't forget about the parking brake release lever. Slide under, line all of this up. And it does have some clips that you can pop in so it can temporarily be held in place. I'll pull out this seal a little bit so that it can slide in here. There we go. Make sure you put that back. Okay, so at least it's going to stay now, and we can start in a few of the screws. I'm going to secure one over here. While we're in this area, let's remount the parking brake release lever. Put this cover back in. Let's secure the rest of it. There's one screw up here to the right side of the steering wheel. Another one down here by the OBD connector. Okay, that's secured. And there were 2 more bolts down here. Now it's time to reassemble the steering column covers. I'm going to take the top one, slide it up and over the shifter, and bring it down into position. If you need to move the steering wheel up and down, you can either grab this and pull it, or if it's too difficult, which most of the time it is, you can just thread the little rod back in. But you should be able to line it up. Make sure it lines up with the shifter boot as well as with the hazard button, and over here, as well as the ignition on this side. There's a lot of things that need to line up. Pull on this, bring this up. Okay, there we go. That's situated itself a little bit better. Let's put the lower cover on. Try to make the 2 line up. And they do have little clips that snap in, but they're not very strong, so it won't actually lock in until you put the screws back through. So the passenger side is lined up. I'm going to put one of the screws in just so I can secure it in place on this side. Otherwise it'll keep popping off when I try to line up this side. put in this screw over here. And now the last one, which is all the way over here. Let's put the lever back in place, the steering wheel adjuster. Make sure it's bottomed out all the way, nice and snug. Of course, test it out. Yep, works just fine. Now we have to put back this piece up here. So put the shifter down, and this has to kind of slide into place, and then it just clips right in. There's no hardware that secures it in place. Make sure it lines up so you don't break the clips. There we go. Push it. This doesn't line up. There we go. Put it back in park. Give it a couple taps to ensure that it's secured. Now you would take your ignition switch, make sure it's facing the right way. This little detent pin at the bottom. It also has these grooves here that need to line up. Press it in all the way. As you can see, it doesn't come back out. That's how you know it's locked in. Shut it off and pull the key out.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.